Do you want to know the 3 things that make men successful?
Sure.
You probably know this already because of what you're doing. And I just learned this. I just solidified this on Monday.
Hmm.
And I knew what we did, but I never had. I interviewed a guy by the name of Adam Lane Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He has a, you know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a licensed family therapist, and he is one of the smartest people I think I've ever talked to as it relates to like relationship dynamics and that kind of thing. His big specialty is attachment.
Hmm.
But he has this beautiful way. He wrote a book called Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like the title of that book. And he said, tell me about this. So we talked about many things and he simplified many things.
Yeah.
But he said, do you want to know the 3 ways that men transform? And I'm like, yes, please. What is it? He's like, it's quite simple. The first one is you need a model. You need to know what good even looks like. And I was like, tell me about that. He's like, well, if you want to create an extraordinary marriage, like let's just take it like that, then you need to find somebody or see an extraordinary marriage and understand what does it take to get there? Like what are the things that you do to make that? That way, when we see the model, it's like the target. Okay, now I know what good looks like. In my situation, I only knew what bad looked like, right? Laundry list of bad things, but I didn't know what that looked like. I had the model of the bad, but I didn't have the good. And here's the other thing too, psychologically, I love psychology.
Mm-hmm.
What we focus on grows and what we focus on expands. So if we are like, I can't drink alcohol right now. I'm 30, I'm doing sober October. I can't drink alcohol. I can't drink alcohol. I shouldn't drink alcohol. Well, what are you thinking about? Thinking about freaking alcohol, right? It's like, don't think of an elephant right now, right? Harley, don't think of an elephant. No matter what you do, I don't want you to think of a pink elephant wearing a hat in front of your house right now. And that's what you're thinking of, right?
Yep.
So what we focus on grows and what we focus on expands. Even if the model is negative, it's still something that subconsciously we're aiming for. This is why like I can't lose my patience with my kids. I can't lose my patience with my kids. Wham! Just hit my 4-year-old on the butt, right? Lost my patience. So you need to know what good looks like. You need to know where you're aiming. That's number 1.
Yep.
Number 2, skills and tools to bring the model to life. So like, for instance, if I know, I'm like, okay, I see so-and-so has a great marriage. And then I sit down and I'm like, what do you do? Oh, well, here's what I do. When I talk to my wife, I use skill sets like tactical empathy, labels, mirrors, generative questions. I create an environment of psychological safety. I know how to create the physical environment where we can have better conversations. I know her love languages, and I deliberately love her in her love language. We make all decisions through our core values, and we have a vision for our relationship.
Boom.
By the way, those are 9 skill sets that we teach. But that's the skills and the tools that bring that model to life, right? So we have an arsenal of things that we can pull from that we can bring that model to life. And the third one is this: be in an experiential learning environment with other like-minded men. And group coaching is one of those things. So when he told me that, I mean, I've been doing I've been facilitating our group coaching environment since 2016.
Nice.
And I've never heard it simplified in those 3 ways. And I'm like, oh my God. And I told the guy, I was like, that's exactly what we have in Dad Edge. He goes, that's why your guys get results. And I was like, oh my God, like my head exploded. I was like, it's really that simple? He's like, yeah, it's really that simple.
Man, that's really interesting. But you need a model and then the skills and tools to bring that model into a reality. And then thirdly, being in a community of men that are all trying to shoot for a model and use those tools. That's interesting.
I got stats on that one too, if you want to hear it.
Sure.
So, and in this, again, it's kind of like human behavior, right? Meaning, and I'll share these with you. Hang on. Okay. So the American Society of Training and Development, their ASD, they did a study on this about people who are focused on goals, right? So here's where the rubber meets the road. You have a 10% success rate if you have an idea of a goal that you want. So like it could be like, I want to be healthier. You have a 10% success rate of actually being healthier if that's your goal. Now, if you consciously decide, I am going to be healthier, period, right? So you decide, now you got a 25% chance. When you decide when you are going to do it, then it goes from 25 to 40. So you're like, you know what? In 90 days, I'm going to be healthier. So now you have a 40. 50% success rate if you plan how you do it. So in 90 days, I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to clean up my diet. I'm going to work out 6 days a week. And in 90 days, I'll be better. 50%, it's still not good. It's 50% success rate. 1 out of 2 people are still going to fail. 65% if you commit to somebody that you'll do it. So it raises up a little bit, but it's still an F. So if I go outside and I tell my neighbor, I knock on his door, I'm like, hey, Dave is actually my neighbor. Dave, I've decided within the next 90 days, I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to work out 6 days a week. Because I just told him, I now have a 65%. But here's where you get an A+.
Nice.
A 95% success rate if you have a specific accountability appointment with a person or a group once a week.
Boom.
Yeah. So every Thursday morning, right? This is my life. Every Thursday morning at 6 a.m., I meet with my 3 other accountability partners. And I have goals around my fitness, my faith, my family, my finances.
Boom.
And I have very specific goals and when I'm going to achieve them. And I have to answer to those guys. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
My wife and I took out a loan, home equity line of credit, and we did it to do a project. We did a $65,000 backyard project, not a pool or anything, but we put it in a project.
Sure.
Well, we all know what happened to interest rates. I had a nice little 1% introductory rate for that loan at 1%. So my payment on that was $100.
Yeah.
Well, when interest rates went up and my introductory rate expired, my payment went from 100 to 850.
Wow.
Like that.
Wow.
I was like, holy crap, I have got to get this down. So I did the whole thing. I was like, by this time next year, I will have gotten that loan from 100,000 to 19,000, and here's how I'm going to do it. And I have to snapshot my balance and the payments that go out, and I have to send it to my group because on Thursday morning, I'm going to be like, hey guys, I'm behind. But here I am. I'm on track by the end of the year to hit that goal.
Great.
And here's what I can tell you. There have been so many times that I've been like, oh, I really don't want to send that payment this month. I really need this, or I could use it for that or whatever. But I don't want to have to tell those guys I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I do it anyway because I have to answer to it. And I don't want to be like, well, I had this thing. And they're going to be like, no, this is what you signed up for. This is what you need to do. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat the frog. I'm just going to do it. And I send the payment. But that's the execution. That's what will bring us from a 10% success rate to 95.
That's great. Man, yeah, I wrote down all those. That's very interesting. I'm in the process of building a community. I guess the niche is kind of the quitting porn niche, but I'm trying to figure out, because like I'm kind of a man who wants, like, my podcast is centered around these pillars of, like, faith or character building, second being health and fitness, third being finance, entrepreneurship. And it's like I'm trying to figure out, because like porn kind of held me back from being able to do any of those things. So it's like in this group that I've built, I have a few men where we meet weekly, we talk about our plan, the tools. Like this is a nice concrete way for me to kind of really think it through, but I was kind of doing it without even realizing it, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like I'm trying to do a similar thing in a different niche, I guess. But I guess the overall goal is to become a better man for your wife, for your kids, for you, and for God, if you think like that. And yeah, so I'm really thankful that you explain these tools and strategies and stats, because I totally agree. Like, as soon as someone is committing to me and is like, hey, I truly want to be done with this porn, it's like, great. You're done talking about it. It's time to take action, and you're actually wanting to come to these weekly meetings and implement these strategies. And it's like, and the people that say yes, it works out. Their fiancés or husbands or their wives are so much more thankful, and they no longer are just the talker, the guy who just, it's all about that integrity moving back. It's like, finally I'm making a decision and choosing to do something about it, not just, yeah, I should probably stop.
I should probably do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It never works.
yeah. And I appreciate you coming on the show. I might end this show now, and I want to just talk to you for a few more minutes off mic, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for coming on. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else did as well. So many amazing stats. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man.